Before starting the economic system, just to answer a question, is it an obligation to follow a particular madhab? It's not an obligation. The obligation is to follow the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, it does not mean that someone ignore the madhab. No, I mean, someone, if he grew up on any madhab, he should keep that madhab because that madhab is sound and authentic and right. But being, adhering to a madhab, that madhab is the way how he's implementing the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For a student of knowledge, it is recommended to follow the most authentic that he see according to the evidence. For someone following a madhab, he keeping that madhab is right. However, he encountered an issue in his life or in her life, and they want to check. I mean, for example, in a society that we live in, we have, mashallah, many people from different backgrounds. So, if you ask someone who has knowledge, he might, give you an answer, according to what he knows, the Shafi'i school or Hanbali school or Hanafi school. The person, he said, okay, now I'm confused. Which opinion should I take? Should I only follow the madhab that I grew up with? I said, no, because all the other madhab are right. Said, then say, what should I follow? Say, follow the opinion who help you to be more efficient in your deen, give you more comfort. There's opinion, for example, wiping on the socks. Wiping on the socks. In certain madhab, they don't accept it. They have, the only the washing the feet, and they accept the wiping on the leather sacks, which while traveling, like the medical school. I mean, in the main opinion of the medical school. Now, a person grew up on the medical school and everything. If you tell them this opinion, say, go ahead and you can practice it, because in the condition of today is people at work, it will be more easy for the person to practice his deen, to observe his salah during his work, if they can make wudu without, taking that, taking off the socks. We have the permission. It is part of the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's eminent scholar, actually hadith mutawatir. So someone has said, okay, this is in the madhab that I'm following, does not, but this is the sunnah of the Prophet, so I will do it because it's gonna help me in my deen. Okay, so, but to say, for example, no, I'm following this madhab, and this madhab, it's not, accepted according to their opinion to do it, then I cannot do it. That's so wrong. Because we cannot restrict ourselves from not doing anything because I'm obliged myself to follow madhab when that opinion that I've been told is in the sunnah of the Prophet, is in the hadith. But if I'll say, that's fine, I don't, I know this permission, but I'll prefer do, I said, that's fine, it's good. But don't say, I feel like I'm obligated to follow this, I'm being already following this, so I cannot change. That is said, this is your opinion, this is your own verdict. It's not Allah's verdict, it's not the scholar's verdict. So someone he's not obligated, he's recommended, because when someone is following with madhab, is easy to refer to. Especially those who grew up on a certain madhab, it's that the madhab is already authentic and following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you should continue in that madhab. But whatever thing that you'll be facing, then choose, the opinion who help you in your deen. The other point, which is haram, is for someone he's looking for the opinion to help his whims, not his deen. That's haram. So I say, this is Wallahi, this is a little bit rigid. Let's find something that it help me to justify my lifestyle. So this is he putting the lifestyle before the deen. And that's wrong. That's the intention itself is wrong. طيب. The economic system in Islam. The economic system in Islam, it has nice introduction, which is we have first to settle, some of the fundamental thoughts. So to be in coherence with the environment and the creation around us. Because when you're talking about economic system, people, they always think of the transaction between people, but they don't forget that everything that they get is from the creation around them. Yeah? Harvest is from the ground. All the raw material you get it from the ground the same. The fundamental thoughts with which the economic system in Islam is approached is the Islamic belief. To have a aqidah. What do you believe first? Such principles help Muslim society to act in coherence with the creation and the environment. Hence with the universe. Fundamental beliefs in this regard. First, the ownership is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything you have, it belongs to Allah. You do belong to Allah. And look when you go through this point, how the Muslim already feel modest, humble, before to do any business. The second, the wealth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wealth including money, everything. All the money that you have been saving belongs to Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال أنفقوا مما جعلكم مستخلفين فيه. Spend from which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you to be vicegerent in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created His creation to serve the human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes subservient to us the seas, the earth, the air, everything. The ownership for the human being in their life is symbolic. When we say, I own this, we don't own really anything. In reality, it's like a kind of a figurative speech, to say we own. Someone is saying he owns his house. But after some years, he's going to make his departure, and his house is still there. He does not own it anymore. So that's the Islamic creed help to have us a perspective how to look at things, so it helps us to know how to deal with it. The intent of the use of the wealth need to be devoted to the pleasure of Allah. Anything that has, money, anything material in the hand, it need to have the ultimate purpose is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be done in the way of Allah. When you say be done in the way of Allah, when you consume it and you have a joyful moment, that's actually worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال قُلْ مَنْ حَرَمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ. Say, who make forbidden all the adornment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for His servant. So it becomes devoted for the pleasure of Allah when someone make an action or use what Allah gave him to be grateful to Allah. But seek through that which Allah has given you, the home of the hereafter, and yet do not forget your share of this world. That's the way. And do good as Allah has done good to you, and desire not corruption in the land. Indeed, Allah does not like corrupters. This is exactly how we approach the thing, the material that we have in our hand, or the money that we gain, or the business that we have, is to seek Allah's pleasure by doing the halal in it, deal it with the halal, and don't forget you're part of the dunya. Enjoy, have entertain yourself in the halal way, the eating, the gathering, all those things, and do not and desire not corruption in the land. This is in short, and this is being said toward as admonition or reminder to Qarun. The life of this world is only a mean to achieve high objective, not an end objective. And this is, subhanAllah, is very important in the mindset of someone who's going to do business. So the life of this world is just, we are in a journey. So look, everyone who does not have this faith, the life of this world is the objective, is the end objective. Everything is for this life of this world. That's why there's people, they, they devote all their estate, or they have after they died, their legacy, for certain foundation who do research that they might have human being to live for eternity. So this foundation, they might revive dead people. So they spend all their money, these dead people, and they being kept, in morgues, preserving their body. So if the science will come to, attain certain technology to bring them back. I mean, there's names, no one names for those who died. You know that, right?
Cryogenic.
Huh?
It's, I think, cryogenic.
I don't know.
Cryogenic process. They keep your body and eventually.
And they give a lot of money, yeah?
Lots of.
You see? Yeah. They know how to make money. But the thing is that everyone who died, is alive. Now they're regretting that they put their money because they know what is the truth. That is the life of the grave. Say, woe to me, woe to me. كلا إنها كلمة هو قائلها.
Even though they come back, I mean, even 300 years ago, later,
Yeah.
it's going to have a hard time adapt to the new.
Yeah, they wish to die. Then they're going to pay money to die. Especially when someone he died old, they cannot bring him younger. That's another problem. So he has to pay more money waiting for the science to bring him back younger. Which is the Muslim, the beautiful way. I mean, he dies and he knows where he's going. And that's when people, subhanAllah, even when you do business, it depends on one's faith. So this is the element that we have mentioned of the creed, is going to change the whole mindset of doing business in Islam. So when someone, you give him more, he asks for £1, you give him £1.25. That quarter, you see it is not like it lacked from your inventory. You see it more barakah. Why? Because you have different thoughts. The other one was he had the end objective is the dunya. He gonna make a way that he gonna give you £1 less because he gonna sell more. He gonna make more money. The material thing which this is Quran. The material thing which you are given are but the conveniences of this life and the glitter thereof. But that which is with Allah is better and more enduring. Will you not then be wise? Subhanallah. The characteristic of the economic system in Islam. The first thing, it considers the nature of the human being, which is very important, and what we call the natural disposition of human being. For example, if you look at certain philosophy which is being trying to be implemented in Germany, it didn't work. Then they tried in Paris, and they did in France, it didn't work. But it somehow it appeared to be worked in Russia with the Bolshevik revolution by bringing the Marxist system and implementing communism. The communism, the first thing that as a believer, when you look at it, it will never work. Why? Because it contradicts the inner nature. To be in a way sharing that way, it does not work. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, the nature of human being, he loves money. He loves money. So you have to regard this, consider this nature while you're doing your economic system. You cannot say you don't have the right to have an individual property. You have to have a common or collective property. That goes against the nature of people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you can have as many as you want property, but do it in the halal. Pay your zakat. Be honest. Right? Share. Spend in the sake of Allah. So regarding and considering the nature of the human being, that's help for the system from the beginning, that you set it on right foundation. But from the beginning we said, look, we have things, we're going to share everything. Some person said, I don't want to share. I said, no, by obligation you have to share. So you have already one person who's against that system. And then you're going to talk to another person. So that person is going to start the first division. Why? Because it's a nature is going to lead to that division. Why? Because it's against the nature of human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَبًّا. He didn't say the mushrik, they love money, a great love. He said, and you love the money, a great love. And look at the kids. Give them $1, they're happy. So it's the nature. It's the nature, subhanAllah. Now, regarding the akhlaq in all transactions, that's what is going to cleanse, that to come to bring to moderation the love of the wealth. Because you're going to put above the love of the wealth, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The love of Allah, the love of the messenger, the love of striving in the sake of Allah is going to regulate that love of money to be dedicated for what is good. But Islam does not take away everything from you and say this is for Allah and it's for messenger. No, keep everything. Allah asking you only 2.5% from your money. If you save, you have a saving. If you don't have saving, you don't pay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I will not ask your money. And if I do, then He's going to bring from inside you a lot of ill things. So Allah wants them to keep them down. This is in Surah Muhammad. That's, subhanAllah, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regard the nature of the human being, because He's the most merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The akhlaq, which is cleanse and moderate this nature to be directed toward goodness and ensuring the necessary needs of every individual is fulfilled. This is one of the characteristics of the economic system in Islam, to see the needs of the people that all satisfied, and this is as objective, of course. The general principle of the economic system in Islam, the freedom of practicing a profession. Of course, this profession need to have its regulation in a way that is always under the principle of seeking good and ensuring benefit for people and removing harm. Therefore, even in the knowledge, you have the typology of the knowledge of Islam. What is the knowledge the highly recommended, and the knowledge that is disliked, and the knowledge that is haram. And based on that, you will have all the profession. The highest knowledge is the knowledge of the deen, because the knowledge of the deen helps you in this life and the hereafter. And then comes sciences, engineering, architecture, and then medicine, and then comes the literature, all of that. And then comes type of philosophy which does not help, because there's type of philosophy who help. Those philosophy people, they argue like the old Greek, like just for the sake of argument, and that it's not helping, like wasting time. That's really makruha. For some scholars it's haram. And then there's the haram knowledge, which is like sorcery, black magic. This is knowledge too. So whatever knowledge you see it in this typology of the knowledge of Islam, for example, everything that is haram knowledge, the profession that serve this knowledge is haram. Anything that is makruh, the profession that serve that knowledge is haram. And any knowledge that is recommended and highly recommended, and actually obligation as a collective obligation, you find medicine, engineering, maths, all of that. So it becomes like a requirement for the society to have people who master those knowledge. And this is where it comes that, within this approach, that the freedom of practice in a profession in the Islamic system. The right of the individual for ownership. Everyone has the right to own, not like in a communist system where they do not have the right, or a social one. The right of inheritance. And this is right. I mean, someone who dies, he had the right to be inherited, not like the government will take everything, or to be like confiscated or things like that. What we call Baytuman al-Muslimin is like the Department of Finance, or the IRS, but not like the IRS. Huh? Huh? Treasury, yes, treasury. The resource of the treasury is the zakat. Just in brief, al-jizya. The jizya is the amount of money obligated on non-Muslim people to pay for living under the protection of the Muslim lands. So the Muslim pay zakat. The non-Muslim are they not Muslim? So the zakat, the obligation, one of its condition is to be Muslim. For the non-Muslim, he'll pay the jizya, which is the money to serve like kind of security, kind of taxes, taxes. But the Islamic, we don't call it tax, but it's zakat because it has a whole spiritual system behind it, social effect, and reward in the akhirah. It has an effect on the unity, on the social justice. So the zakat is not like simple tax used to build the road. No, the zakat is a whole system, a moral system. It's actually regulate the whole economic system in Islam.
How much is the jizya, Sheikh?
It's very small. It's very small. It's based on income, and the jizya also give the right for the person who living in a Muslim society and not adhering to the Islamic faith to be also having his social security, or to have his insurance, and even to have help or salary when he stopped working, which is kind of, we said, like the retirement plan that is being provided to them too. So to live in safety, provided, protected, so that is part of his contribution to the society, so he can regain back. And this is in time of Umar, when he passed and he find the homeless person from the people of the book. He said, what he's doing? He said all his life he's paying jizya. Now he's not being regarded as one of the citizens. So they gave him, because it was like the society still building a system. So paying the jizya, he was taken under the wing of the government to be provided.
I read or heard somewhere that the jizya is just like the riba, zakat, 2.5%, no more.
It's very small. It might be even smaller than that.
Less than 2.5%.
Yes, it's very small. The jizya, it's very small. Depends on one's revenue, and it's very small.
Adult able male. It's not on the women,
Yes.
not on the children, not
Yeah.
on the old folks.
Yes. The other one is al-kharaj. Al-kharaj is the amount of money obligated on non-Muslim to pay on their lands that are under the authority of the Muslim. It's like using the right of the using of the land, and this is, it depends on the tax system. Al-ushur, a tax imposed on the non-Muslim living in Muslim lands and have business on these lands. Now, if you see like al-kharaj wal-ushur, all of them are for the Muslim included in the zakah. Because the zakat, you have the zakat on the saving money, on gold and silver, zakat on cattle, zakat on businesses, zakat on lands, use it. So all of that, the Muslim, they use it under the big chapter of the zakat. For the non-Muslim, the use will be have different names, but it's the same. Spoils are the property taken from the non-Muslim as a result of a battle. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it halal for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like in what they had in Badr, what they have in Uhud, things like that. Al-Fay, the property taken from non-Muslim without going through a battle, like it happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in Surah Al-Hashr. So this is our sources. It does not mean like need to exist. Those will be halal for the ummah to have. Halal for the ummah to have. But it does not mean like you have to create or provoke battles to have spoils. There's no such a thing. No.
Are these like kind of the classical identity categories?
Classical.
Because now we, somebody has if I'm doing business in oil, then it will come through my income and become zakat.
Yeah. No, there's zakat on business.
But that is for helping with people who are in problem. But how does the government run itself? Where does the money for the government come?
From the zakat. Or if the zakat is not enough, they impose a tax.
So all of the zakat does not go to poor people in need. They also go.
No, there's 8 categories that is spent for the zakat.
But one category is to pay for those who work with zakat, who distribute zakat, collect zakat.
Yes, that's like the people, the worker at the Treasury Department.
But we have to pay the military, we have to pay the police, we have to pay the teachers.
Believe me, if everybody pay his zakat, you know, there will be, in time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, they were paying zakat for the people to get married.
I'm saying, can you remind us one category from the 8 that goes into these?
If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa fi sabilillah, it's the biggest chapter, and everything done for the sake of Allah, you pay zakat for it. Schools, thing to protect the ummah, anything for the defense, everything that is comes in the protection of the deen is in the sabilillah is open.
Can 2.5% do it?
Yeah?
Can 2.5% do it? Because we look at the rates, Germany and England and the United States, how they run their country. You're saying that you take extra.
If you need, you take extra. So it's not about the 2. I mean, the 2.5% will not look at it from the point to, you know, kind of help the whole society to fulfill its need, but look at it from the wisdom that Allah will not take all your money.
Some of the largest corporations have been paid
Yeah. Believe me, everybody paid 2.5%. But there's people, they don't even pay zakat in the Salaf. You know why? Because they give all or most of their money in sadaqah before even they be able to make saving. It's differences. تفضل.
Sheikh, you are also going to mention that in the time of Ameur ibn Aziz that they returned back to the zakat because there was no poor person.
Yes. They were dedicate the money for things like kamaliyat, not only hajjiyat. For things like, you know, who from the people they want to get married, they can finance all his marriage. تفضل.
As far as the jizya, I believe I read somewhere the hadith will apply for like the person that who's also 24 dirham. So is it like a percentage or is it like a flat fee?
It depends, because there is no, you know, depends on the government, depends on the environment, you know, situation. So this will be the effort of the government to fix it. But if it is a flat fee, it should not in any way hurt the income of that person or cause him to be like miserable. There's no such a thing. Yeah.
Can the jizya ever be more than the zakat?
Depends, because the zakat, if someone has the minimum, he's gonna pay minimum.
I mean, the percentage wise.
I don't think. I mean, regarding one's income. However, when we said regarding the akhlaq in this economic system, so the akhlaq is always to provide a person a situation that he will be favorable situation for that person, not to put a person in hardship in any way. And even it's been reported the time Khalid ibn Walid, they were in a Sham. Khalid ibn Walid or another one of the companions. So they collect jizya to, you know, because they have the leadership in this town. And when there's some army coming and invasion happened, they felt that they cannot resist to that army, so they had to leave the town and join another army far from them. They give them back their money. They said, why are you giving back? He said, because you are not able to keep your safety and secure. So we cannot. Therefore, this is back your money. We took it for protecting you. We're not able to do it, and we're leaving. They give them back their money. The spoils, al-fay, expenditure, zakat on mineral, spoils, al-fay, etc. So these, however, the most important here to say, it's like the zakat, unlike the interest, because the opposite of the zakat, which is in Islamic system, is the interest in non-Islamic system, the riba. The zakat is based on the belief that we have mentioned. The zakat is based on piety. The zakat is based on sharing. The zakat, what brings the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The zakat who leads to the social justice. The zakat who leads to the increase of the brotherhood and sisterhood. The zakat who provide dignity for the poor people, because they being sought, people, they look for them to give them their money, because the zakat is not the money in the hand of the rich person. The zakat is the property of the poor one. That's why it's haram for the rich person to hold it in his hand. All these factors make out of the zakat of a system not to bring only social justice, but to bring that, keep that dignity, respect, and real, level of cohesion into the society that, only can be achieved in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The interest is the tool to practice oppression in a society. Because the interest is the regulator of a financial system in which the interest help people to invest. So the higher interest is, the more people they invest. But the people who are going to pay the loan, they're going to pay a loan plus interest that they didn't have it in the beginning. Someone in need of $100. You give him $100, you ask him to pay 110. He didn't have 100 in the beginning. So that 10 is going to be kind of created from the system through cheating, through stealing, through increase of prices. That's why all the problem of inflation and employment and supply and demand, all of that, when it's regulated by one, item or element, which is the riba, when the riba, the spirit of it to maximize the profit. So there is no morality into the riba. There is no regarding of dignity into the riba. There is no thinking of the poor in the riba. And this is the both system, how totally different.
So the home mortgage in Jinn, which is part of the modern society, based on riba, whether you're taking or paying.
It's not in the system. That's a totally different subject. I mean, we're talking about the whole system, how it's regulated with the riba, not like one small sector, because every case needs to be regarded and studied on a part. So to give it like true diligence in its study. But when you're talking about the whole system, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the riba haram, because the riba is a tool of causing oppression. Simply. And all what you see from, famine happening in certain countries, poverty, it's not because these people, they don't produce, or they don't have work, or they don't have resources. It's because of the riba. So the problem is bigger than, for certain things that someone will be facing into the system. Within the system, how to face, particular things that need to be studied apart, because that's where we said someone need to always consider his environment. طيب, I think it's time, right? I don't know when the Maghrib is at طيب. We'll stop here, inshallah. We'll see you after Salat al-Maghrib. We start with note on the jihad system in Islam. Then very briefly, you will have the notes to look at the penal system in Islam, but very brief, and we already talked about the hudud last time. And then, inshallah, before we leave, we try to start the part 3, inshallah, so we can finish it by next week, bismillah. Tafadhal, let's go.
Yes, as a da'i, many questions will come, you're suggesting to us. And if a question were to come on economics about the issue that we were discussing, and in the context of the United States, the GDP last year was $20 trillion. So 2.5% of $20 trillion is half a trillion, 500 billion. But America's government's expenditure was 4 trillion. So that is 8 times. So they would, a Muslim government would have to impose a tax of additional 17.5%. So a total of 20% would cover the 4 trillion out of a $20 trillion GDP.
Your old calculation missed one account, which is called barakah.
That is fine.
Believe me, because there's a lot of expenditure that should not even happen. So there's a count that we don't consider, which is the barakah. And if you start right, when you plant a tree in the right way, purified, it gives you 10 times maybe the fruit of a tree in far from the sun, not having a lot of water, etc. And that's the difference between the two systems. It's totally different.
No, it is different. I'm not saying any of that.
And in that GPT, many people, they didn't declare their taxes, their income.
As the brother indicated, last year Amazon made $11 billion profit, but it got back $129 million from the INS.
We told you. جزاكم الله خير. We'll meet you after Salat al-Maghrib, inshallah.